in the heart of a quiet valley where the sun rose gently over golden hills, there flowed a river that whispered secrets to those who truly listened. The people of the valley believed the river held memories of old love stories, long forgotten by time. Along its banks lived a young woman named Amara, known for her quiet strength and eyes that mirrored the river's depth. She would often sit by the water, weaving baskets and humming songs she did not know she knew. On the other side of the river lived Kofi, a gifted musician whose flute could make birds pause and wind still. He had never crossed to Amara's village, but the river had carried her melodies to his ears many times. They had never met. Yet when Amara sang and Kofi played, the river seemed to rise with joy, as if it recognized a reunion waiting to happen. One misty morning, Amara followed a new path beside the river. Her feet moved with purpose, though she did not know where it would lead. The air was filled with an unfamiliar tune, a flute's melody, soft and searching. Kofi, standing among wild reeds, played a song he had dreamt the night before, a song that felt like home and mystery wrapped together. His eyes lifted when the wind shifted, carrying Amara's breathless gasp. They stood on opposite sides of the water, as if the river itself had drawn them to this moment. No words were spoken, only the song remained between them, floating, trembling, alive. Each day after, they returned. She brought stories in her voice, he brought emotion in his flute. The river carried their offerings across its gentle surface, binding them in a silent understanding. The elders noticed a change. The river stirs differently, one muttered. It is watching them, said another. The river had long been keeper of vows and breaker of illusions. One night, under a moon full and golden, Amara sang a question into the wind. Will love always need distance to be true? The river rippled, and a soft echo replied, Kofi's flute answering her heart. Amara's mother warned her, the river binds with promises it can also drown. Be wise, child. But Amara only smiled, her soul already tethered to the notes she heard each dawn. Kofi's father watched him with worry. A melody that wanders across water may lose its way. Bring your heart home. But Kofi only played louder, the tune calling to someone he had never touched. Then came the drought. The river slowed, its voice hoarse. The villagers feared, not just for water, but for the silence that grew between the two lovers. On the driest day, Amara sang no more. Kofi's flute stayed silent. The river, once their messenger, now sat still, holding its breath. The elders gathered under the ancient tree. If love flows so deeply, they asked, should it not rise above the drought? A challenge was born. Let love awaken the river. Amara walked alone to the riverbank. She knelt, placed her palms on the dry earth and whispered, sing again. Her tears touched the soil. From across the cracked basin, Kofi heard. He raised his flute. The first note cracked like thunder. The second note trembled. The third, the river shimmered. Clouds gathered, not of storm, but of song. The sky turned blue with memory, and the river stirred once more, guided by music and longing. The villagers gathered, watching the waters return. Children danced, the old sang. Amara and Kofi met at the midpoint, where once the current had kept them apart. They did not speak, they did not need to. The river's song played between them, and their hands found one another like roots joining underground. The chief, old as the mountains, stepped forward. Let this union be a new tradition. Love that listens, not just speaks, river woven, not rushed. A ceremony was held at the water's edge. Elders poured calabashes of river water over their joined hands. "May your love ripple wider than we can see," they prayed. They built a hut at the very place they first saw each other. A woven bridge was crafted, not just of rope and wood, but of story and sound. Amara planted river lilies beside their home. Kofi played each morning to greet the sun. The river, always near, watched in gentle waves. Years passed. The couple taught others to sing, to listen. "Not every silence is empty," Amara would say. "Some silences are waiting to be filled." A drought came again, fierce and long, but this time the village did not fear. Together, they stood by the riverbed and sang. Children who had never seen the river full learned its rhythm through music. They clapped and stomped and drummed until the dust danced. Then, rain, not sudden, not loud, but certain. A kiss from the sky upon a river that had been remembered into being. The village held a new festival each year, called the Joining, celebrating how the river once brought two souls together through sound. An elder wrote the tale on bark scrolls. The river that joined hearts did not choose royalty or warriors, but two who listened first. Amara and Kofi grew grey together. Their hut became a place for lovers to sit, sing, and promise with their eyes. A young boy once asked, "Did the river love them too?" An elder smiled. The river loved how they honored its song. When Amara passed, Kofi played one last tune. The wind rose, the river swirled, and petals floated as if kissed by the past. Soon after, Kofi joined her, not in sorrow, but in stillness. Two clay pots were placed by the river, facing one another, filled with water and song. The bridge they inspired was never crossed in haste. Lovers paused in the middle listening. Sometimes they heard a distant flute. The children of the village grew up with lullabies born from Amara's melodies and Kofi's harmonies. They sang not just for sleep, but for peace. A tree grew where they first touched hands. Tall, full, with bark that hummed in the wind. The river too changed. It curved gently around the village now, like an embrace. Artists came from far lands to paint the story. They painted not faces, but feelings. Longing, meeting, listening, and love. On the 100th anniversary of the joining, the village lit floating lamps. Each carried a wish. For love as patient as water. A young girl began humming a tune no one had taught her. "Where did you learn that?" asked her mother. "The river," she said. New lovers visited the banks, not to promise forever, but to promise listening. "We must hear one another like Amara and Kofi," they'd say. A stone monument was placed at the river's bend. It read, "Love that listens can shape the land." The river's song was not loud. It never was. But for those who waited in quiet, it always came. Birds flew in formation above the river like notes on a staff. Music lived in the sky now too. Every elder who told the tale added their own melody. The story lived not in pages, but in voices. A final scroll was added to the archive, not of history, but of hopes. The last line read, "Let the river always guide those who love well." Even when droughts came, the people did not despair. They said, "The lovers once called water forth. We remember how." A lone flute crafted by Kofi's grandson sits in the shrine. Some say it still plays when the river misses its song. And so the river continues to sing, not with voice, but with memory, not with volume, but with truth. For love, when patient, becomes a song that never ends.